So for you right now, I mean, let's start in the morning. What time, and don't say me when you get up. I don't know if you're one of those. I got
Oh,
to be at work at 8 and I get up at 7:55. I know a couple people like that. But like, what time do you have to start work at?
and that's the exact kind of person I am, honestly.
Okay.
So we have a little bit of flexibility when it comes to work hours. Sometimes, so we usually have a morning scrum. We have a 15-minute quick meeting on certain days. It's usually Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then on
Okay.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have an end of the day meeting.
Okay.
Um, so those meetings in the mornings are usually 8:30, 8:45. So usually you'll be starting your work by then. But really, if there's no meeting like that, then you could start anywhere between like 8 and 9.
Okay.
We don't really keep track of what hour somebody starts working and somebody stops working.
Got it.
And the end time is usually expected to be anywhere between like 4:30 to like 6, depending on how far ahead you are with your daily tasks.
Got
So
it.
some people
Okay.
start early, they get done early. Some people start a little later, which is the kind of person I am, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
but honestly, if you finish your day's worth of tasks, then you're free to go.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the morning scrum, I'm guessing it's like a stand up. Like, can you just kind of explain real quick, like what does that meeting consist of and who is that with? Is that the entire company or is it just the SDRs? Just a little overview of what that scrum looks like.
Right. So ours is just those 3 days a week kind of thing is just for our BDR team. We call it's BDR here, so
Okay.
we'll call it BDR team. Yeah, it's just with our BDR team with my manager. If there are any important changes that we need to know, or if there are any goals that our manager wants us to know, we communicate through that. So it's nothing major. Sometimes it's only like 5-10 minutes. On
Okay.
Fridays we have like music session, and so we'll pick somebody to play some morning music to get excited.
Okay.
It's Friday. It's like, all right, let's play some music and dance a little bit. But yeah, nothing major really besides daily communication purposes. Same with the end of the day ones.
Got
Just
it.
recap of what happened or what can we do better if there were any challenges, or what did we do well if we had lots of wins. So
Makes sense. Okay, cool. So just a kind of a morning basically check in. Hey, how's everything going? Any major
mhm.
announcements? Here you go.
Yep.
So, and that's with your manager and other BDRs. How many BDRs are on your team?
I think we have 9 at the moment. We
Okay.
had somebody that dropped out. She found a job in her field. This
Okay.
wasn't exactly her field, but she graduated recently from a college with her degree. So yeah, we
Got it.
lost one. We hired 3, lost 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So, all right. So normally Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you have that morning scrum, but after that, and I'm guessing
hmm
Tuesday and Thursday, this is where your day starts. Like, what does the beginning of your day actually look like after that meeting? Are you hopping right into calls? Are you checking your email, voicemails, or what's kind of the first hour or two of your day after that meeting?
Yeah. So I start with checking my calendar and checking my email to see if I've gotten anything while I wasn't here.
Okay.
And then I'll look at my tasks. So we use Outreach here. Um, Along with Salesforce to manage ours. And so I'll go into my tasks if there are anything specific, any specific emails that I need to respond to, and I'll go from there. When it comes to my calls, though, I probably do a little bit more than what other people would do in terms of research. I like to look at past conversations and if we left off somewhere. Um, so my call volume honestly isn't as high as some of my peers,
Okay.
but I feel like I probably have a better success rate going to um, SLHs to SALs. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I the past since I started in September, late September, and then I didn't actually start making calls until like mid-November, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, because of circumstances, our training got dragged and such. But
Got it. So about two
and
months.
yeah, um, I've probably had about 80% success rate going from SLH to SALs.
Okay.
So, and my manager told me like in the past we had a time period where we had about 85% rate of success. Now we're back down to about 60.
Got it.
But
Okay.
I try to do my best and try to get ahead with the research. So I kind of do both at the same time. When I'm ready to call somebody, I look at their account or their profile, see if there's any background information I need to pick up before I start making the call. I know some people just pick up and call,
Yeah.
and they dominate with the call volume. So the more calls
Got
you
it.
make, the more
Yep.
bookings you can get. But I'm more of the
Hmm.
kind of a careful approach person. So
Okay.
yeah, so
That
that's
makes
how.
sense.
Yeah, that's usually what my mornings are being spent. Same with the afternoons, basically. Unless I have other meetings that are coming up, we have like a weekly sales meeting on Thursdays, so that
Okay.
morning's just completely gone. But that's
Okay.
usually how my day goes.
Got it. And then in terms of like so in the morning, obviously you're checking in with like probably your hottest priorities. And then
Mhm.
once you're in the kind of the thick of like, and because you guys do outbound, right? You're not
Yes,
coming
I'm on the
inbound.
outbound
Okay.
team.
Okay. So for that, obviously you're going, maybe spend an hour or two going through emails, voicemails. Hey, who's my hot priority? Once you kind of, I guess, begin calling,
Mhm.
what's that kind of volume look like? I know you said yours was low. Like what's your volume look like in a day? How many calls do you think you're making roughly?
So our expectation is 200 a week. So
Okay.
about 40 a day.
40. Okay.
We push for 50 a day so that we always exceed it. Like I said, and we just got back into that again recently. So like last week, I think I was, what was last week? Second week. So yeah, I think I was sick for a day and a half. So I think I only got to about 110 or so. But I would
Okay.
say I usually make anywhere between 35 to 45. So about average in my
Okay.
case. Yeah.
And then are you guys doing any personalized email outreach? Like obviously if we're relating it back to the program, you'd
Mhm.
send a cadence of 3 emails. Usually personalize that first one. The second two would be automated. And then, here and there we do some calls. On the job, you're obviously making about 40 calls a day, give or take. Are you guys sending any emails?
Yes.
I guess automated and personalized.
Yeah, it's a mixture of both. So and even the ones that are automated, how you can check before you send it. And I usually try to personalize it. Maybe not to the degree that I was taught always. So
Okay,
adding like personalized line, but sometimes I'll
got
try
it.
to. But I will try to add something unique into the intro, like hey, um, maybe I'll say something about their sports team, or the relating back to the past conversation, like hey, it was nice about we talked about this, blah blah. Um but yeah, it's a mixture of both manual and automated emails. So
Got it.
yeah, those fall in between. And good thing here is that I don't have to create the cadence. My manager already has it in place, so we just got to pick the right cadence to put
Got
these
it.
prospects into.
Okay. So how many emails are you sending a day then, would you say? If you're doing 40 calls, how many emails?
I would probably say around the same. It could be really
Okay.
anywhere between like 20 to 40, depending on how much I have to personalize it. Because some of these cadences are kind of outdated, so those ones I'll
Got
have
it.
to put in a whole new one, and I use
Okay.
snippets. So
Okay. And then anything else? Do you guys use LinkedIn at all or video or anything like that? Or is phone and email the main things that you guys prospect with?
we actually partnered with CoVideo. They're
Okay.
also Indianapolis-based company, and you can attach those video clips to the email. So we use those occasionally. And then I'm sorry, you mentioned something else besides that.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah, so LinkedIn I think is mainly for AEs.
Okay.
We can and we do occasionally use it, but not as often. And then we use like Zoom Info to obviously look into our prospects and do research and such. So
Got it.
those are my
Okay.
main ones.
Okay. So you're obviously calling and emailing these people all day long. They're cold, they're outbound. Obviously
Hmm.
there's some research and data, so they're not completely cold. And I would assume they're probably based off your company's, target market or what we call, an ICP buyer persona,
Right.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
So when you're calling, reaching out, and you're setting these meetings, you're setting a meeting, I'd imagine, an introduction qualification call for your A, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Okay. And do you, when you book a call, let's say you call me, I'm like, yeah, sure, let's talk.
Hmm.
What does that actually look like? Of the setting the meeting, and are you sitting in on that meeting? Are you sitting in at the beginning just to introduce? I just want to understand what the handoff basically looks like to the AE.
I like to sit in through the entire meeting. So once we book a meeting, it's usually so we sell board portals. So
Okay.
try to go for uh, secretary or executive assistant. Usually those are our gatekeepers that we run into and first person to book the meetings with. I introduce them to the AE, or I introduce the AE to them, and I sit through just to make sure that we don't miss anything that they mentioned in terms of pain points.
Okay.
I'll occasionally nudge, but our AEs are pretty good, and I don't really have to tell them anything like that. They basically do their own discovery briefly and then walk through the product and such. So
Got it. Okay. Okay. And then obviously, like you said, towards the end of the day, you kind of just do that wrap up, basically what you did at the beginning. So in terms of, that was obviously a day in the life, I guess more a week in the life. You mentioned these basically you have a stand-up meeting either in the morning or the afternoon. You mentioned a sales meeting. I guess what are the other meetings you have more internal? Are you having any one-on-ones with your sales manager? Any weekly training sessions? An entire sales team? What do the internal meetings look like in a week?
Yeah, so we do have a professional development meeting every other week, I believe, so twice a month.
Okay.
And it's pretty nice. My manager actually implemented that when she came to Passageways last. I think she's about to hit her 1 year mark. They didn't have one before she got here, and she was like, "This is what our BDRs need. They need to be. We need to invest in their development." So we have those. And then we have, let's see. And you mentioned team meetings and something else. Like, sorry, I had
team meetings, any training, like a one-on-one meeting with your manager?
One-on-ones, yes. Yeah, so when we first start, we do weekly one-on-one meetings to receive feedback and share our updates. We still do weekly updates on our website, employee platform, I guess, portal. And those we do it at the end of the week on Fridays, just to give her a recap of, okay, how many calls we made, how many emails we sent, how many meetings we booked, and which of those were accepted leads and things like that. And once you are on ramp, so now I do one-on-one every other week with my manager. Mine's on Thursdays, so Thursday at 1. Yeah, so we go over the progress and see if there's anything that I need help with or anything that I'd like to share with her and anything that she wants to share with me. And then we also go over a recording, whether if it's good or bad, to see if there's any improvements that we can make or something I did well. So we pick one call and bring it to the meeting.
Okay. That makes sense. Really, I mean, I think that's about it. I mean, I think we've pretty much covered everything. I think the last question, obviously not two more questions. So number one, so obviously you're remote and you've been remote from the beginning, generally being in an office, there's, a lot of, you could say a lot of community between the SDRs. I know you haven't really experienced that in person, but what is it like right now being remote? I mean, how much interaction aside from those meetings you're having with your other or BDRs, I should say?
I would say we talk pretty frequently. If there are any questions, we'll post it on our team page. We use Microsoft Teams, so we have our group
got it.
for BDRs, so we'll communicate through there. We also are encouraged to do role plays with each other. So usually at least once a week, we'll have about 20 to 30 minutes of role plays and maybe discussing any challenges or advice, things like that. The interaction is probably, probably left a lot to be desired since we're not in person, but I feel like that could really depend on the company's culture, if that makes sense. And, as a previous operator of a business, culture is very important to me.
Yes.
So I think our company has a very good culture. It's everybody cares for each other. Even the senior leadership shows that.
That's great.
At the end of our as an end note from our VP of sales, he always says, family first and business second. Take care of your business first, and then focus on work. So I like
that.
Yeah, I think it's great.
That's awesome. That's cool to hear. So I guess the last question I then have for you is, going in from what everything you learned in pre-hired to now actually being on the job for a couple months, was there anything, just kind of different? And it doesn't mean it's bad or anything, or it could be really good. Like just oh, like this is maybe a little different than what I expected. Or no, hey, everything's pretty much, the same for the most part. Because I've had some people, well,
Mhm.
I'll let you answer.
Well, I think maybe it was the materials. The idea behind the materials or how to use those is the same. However, the tools obviously is different
Yep.
for each company. So I
Makes
think that
sense.
I think that was valid. So that was a good experience. That was a good learning opportunity. Um, and other than that, I don't. I think I got off with an easier start, especially because my training got kind of dragged out, and
Yeah,
I
so
was
you had more
hoping to.
time.
Yeah, and I was like, no, this is kind of slow actually. I'm
Yeah.
ready because I got hired with somebody else, and she had some cold calling experience, but she didn't have experience in B2B sales, SaaS industry, and I am ready. And I'm
Yeah,
also very good
yeah.
with computers, so I pick things up quickly. My manager has to tell me to slow down sometimes. Um,
Okay, that's
yeah,
that's
so
good.
that probably helped too. But other than that, I think if people focused more on the whys behind how pre-hire teaches things or what pre-hire teaches to people to students and try to retain that, I think that's going to be more helpful than possibly say pre-hire is just teaching how to use this software, so I'm just going to focus on that. Well,
Got it.
understand what is this software used for, and the idea behind it and the foundation is probably very similar with other CRMs or other softwares tools that we use, right? So
Yep.
I think if students can understand that and really think about that aspect a little bit more, then it's probably still going to be relevant, even if the softwares change and something gets outdated. So I think that's what helped me out the most.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that makes sense. Well, yeah, I mean that's it, Jaeho. I appreciate you taking the time, man.
No, thank you.